Welcome back to your daily therapy. All right, folks, let's get real. Have you ever felt that sting when someone you're interested in suddenly pulls away? One day, everything's flowing smoothly, and the next, it's like they've hit a switch, and you're no longer in their line of sight. You're left wondering what went wrong, analyzing every single interaction, and maybe even blaming yourself for not doing enough. You start convincing yourself that if you just try a little harder, if you send that one more message, if you accidentally bump into them, they'll notice you again. But here's the truth. This thinking is exactly what drives them further away. Let's say you're tempted to reach out just one last time. You want to accidentally run into them, shoot that text, or drop that call in hopes that it'll bring them back. Don't. Every time you feel that urge, ask yourself, am I acting out of confidence or out of insecurity? Because let's face it, if you're acting out of fear of losing them, then you're already lowering your worth. You're signaling that you're there for the taking, that you're willing to abandon your self-respect just to keep them around. And when you do that, you might as well get ready to be treated like an option, or worse, be used like trash. You're essentially telling them that they don't need to respect you because you don't respect yourself. If they're pulling back, if they're ignoring you, the real reason behind it, folks, is you. It's not that you weren't enough or didn't do enough. It's that they're picking up on your desperation. They're seeing that you're too available, too willing, and that makes them lose respect. They start to view you as someone who's just there, someone who'll stick around no matter how they act. And when you let them think that, you're giving them permission to keep treating you that way. So, the first step? Stop trying so hard. It's tempting to chase, to hold on tighter, but every time you do, you're sending a clear message. I need you to validate me. That's not attractive. It's exhausting. The more you cling, the more they'll pull away. It's like trying to catch water with a clenched fist. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. So, here's the harsh truth. If you want them to come back, you need to let go. Here's a question to ask yourself. Why are you holding on to someone who's distancing themselves? If they're pulling away, it's because they're sensing that they don't have to work to keep you around. They see you chasing, and they know that they don't have to do a thing to hold on to your attention. The reality? People value what they earn, what they have to work for. When you keep showing up, sending those texts, checking in, you're doing all the work. And in doing so, you're stripping away any sense of mystery or attraction. Imagine if, instead of sending that next text, you decided to do absolutely nothing. Let them feel that silence. Let them sit with the choice they've made to pull away. People don't miss what's always there. They miss what they can't have. The moment you stop trying to close the gap, they start noticing the distance they created. And that space you're giving, it's not a weakness, it's a power move. Here's a reality check. Every time you reach out to someone who's ignoring you, you're practically begging for their attention. And nothing makes you seem less valuable than being willing to sacrifice your pride and self-worth just to get a crumb of their time. Are you really going to keep lowering yourself just so they might respond? If you do, you're setting yourself up to be taken for granted. Because if they see you're willing to give up your dignity, they'll believe they can treat you however they like, and you'll stick around. If they're not making an effort, that's on them. But your response to it? That's on you. If you're reacting to their distance by trying harder, you're feeding into a cycle where they get all the control and you get none. You're essentially telling them, no matter what you do, I'll still be here. And if that's the energy you're giving, why would they need to put in any effort? People crave what they might lose, not what's guaranteed to be there, no matter how little they invest. So, here's what you need to do. Stop chasing. Start focusing on yourself. When they see that you're no longer sitting around, waiting, they'll start to feel the impact of your absence. Don't be that person who keeps checking their phone, who keeps hoping for a message, who waits around like their life's on hold. You're better than that. Start acting like the high-value person you are. Show them, without saying a word, that you have better things to do than wait for someone who's treating you like an option. Think about it. If you're constantly trying to prove yourself, what does that say about your self-worth? It says that you're placing all your value in their hands, waiting for them to acknowledge it. But here's the truth. They won't value you if you don't value yourself. When you back off and focus on becoming your best self, they'll take notice. They'll wonder what happened to the person who was always there, always willing to chase. And trust me, that's when they'll start missing you. Imagine them reaching out, realizing what they've lost. They start to wonder why you're suddenly unavailable, why you're not giving them the attention they took for granted. They might not say it, but they'll start thinking about you, missing the energy you used to give so freely. And when they do come crawling back, and they will if they realize your worth, you're now in the position of power, not them. So here's your mission. Let them feel your absence. Let them see what it's like without you around. You don't need to be rude or play games. Just stop making them the center of your world. Let them be the ones who have to work to get close to you. Let them wonder what you're up to, who you're spending your time with, and why you're no longer waiting around. And folks, whenever you feel that urge to reach out, hit yourself with this affirmation. I stand strong. Say it until you believe it. Because if you act like someone who needs validation, that's all you'll ever get. Empty validation. But when you stand strong, step back and focus on your own growth. You're building a life they'll want to be part of. You're not just a fallback option. You're the one they'll come running back to, realizing what they let go. And don't just say it. Write it down in the comments for all to see. Don't shy away from this moment. Be brave and declare your strength to the world. Drop it below. I stand strong. This is where the tables turn, where you reclaim your worth. So if you're ready to stop chasing, if you're ready to make them see your value, stick with me as we dive into the 7 steps that will put you in control. Hit that subscribe button if you're serious about making this change. Like this video if you're ready to stand in your power, and share it with anyone who needs to hear this. We're done playing small, and we're done being options. Today, we're choosing ourselves first. Number 1, cut off the craving. So, here's where it starts. If they've pulled away, if they're giving you the cold shoulder, your first step isn't to chase after them. No, the first step is to cut off the craving. That instinct to reach out, to check in, to do whatever it takes to get their attention, it's only working against you. Every time you act out of need, you're handing over your power. You're saying, I'm at your mercy, and I need you to feel whole. It's time to kill that instinct and get back in control. Let's face it, craving their attention makes you dependent. It's like being thirsty and drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. You end up constantly reaching out, constantly checking, hoping for some signal, some sign that they care, and you get trapped in this cycle of need. But the harsh truth is that craving only makes you look weaker in their eyes. It's the fastest way to lose your self-respect and your sense of worth. If they're ignoring you, why would you keep craving them? They've shown you they're willing to step back, so now it's your turn to do the same. Here's what I want you to remember. Neediness repels. Independence attracts. If you want them to feel drawn back to you, you need to detach. Think of the craving as a fire burning in you, consuming your time, your focus, your energy. It's time to put that fire out. When you cut off the craving, you're not just breaking a habit, you're breaking free from the chains of dependence. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you reclaiming your value. Imagine this. Every time you feel that urge to reach out, you're feeding a beast that gets stronger with every act of need. The more you feed it, the more it controls you. But the moment you decide to stop, the moment you commit to cutting off that craving, the beast starts to weaken. You're taking back your control, your power, your self-worth. You're letting them feel the space you create by stepping back, instead of filling that space with endless gestures that only serve to push them further away. And let's be real here. This isn't going to be easy. Cutting off the craving takes discipline, it takes strength, but that's exactly what makes it powerful. This is where you prove to yourself that you're more than the attention they give you. You're showing yourself that your worth doesn't hinge on whether they respond, whether they notice, or whether they care. You're giving yourself the gift of freedom from this exhausting cycle. And when they finally see that you're no longer reaching out, when they feel the silence, trust me, they're going to notice. Here's a question for you. Who's in control, you or the craving? Because if you're acting out of need, you're giving up control over your own life, your own happiness. But when you decide to cut off that craving, you're saying, I'm done letting this control me. I'm choosing myself. And that choice, that's where your power lies. When you step back and let that craving die out, you're setting a new standard, one that shows you're worth more than being someone's afterthought. So what does it mean to cut off the craving in practical terms? It means stopping those check-ins, stopping those just wanted to say hi texts, stopping every action that's designed to get a response. It means looking at your phone and choosing not to reach out. It's letting go of that constant urge to check their social media, to see if they've posted, if they're online, if they've somehow hinted at missing you. Every time you resist, you're growing stronger. You're building a layer of independence that makes you less affected by their absence. And here's where it gets real. The moment you stop craving their attention, the tables start to turn. Suddenly, you're not the one looking for them. They're the ones starting to feel the loss. People crave what they can't have. And when you stop offering yourself up, when you stop feeding them attention on a silver platter, they feel the emptiness. They realize they've lost that easy access to you. And that's when curiosity kicks in. They start to wonder why you've pulled back, why you're no longer there waiting. And let me tell you, that curiosity is powerful. Let's go even deeper. Cutting off the craving doesn't just make you stronger. It frees up your energy to invest in yourself. When you're not focused on them, you're focused on you. You're pouring that energy into your goals, your growth, your happiness. You're creating a life that doesn't revolve around their approval. And trust me, people are drawn to those who live with purpose. When you're busy building yourself, you're not only stronger, you're more attractive because you're showing them and yourself that you don't need anyone to complete you. Every time you feel that urge, remind yourself, I don't need them to feel complete. Say it until you believe it, and watch how your confidence builds. Watch how that craving shrinks and fades. Because cutting off the craving isn't a one-time action. It's a commitment you make to yourself. You're saying, I deserve more than this. I deserve someone who values me, not someone who expects me to do all the chasing. And let's be clear, folks. Cutting off the craving doesn't mean you stop caring or stop feeling. It means you choose to respect yourself first. You're giving them space, But more importantly, you're giving yourself space to grow, to heal, and to realize your own worth. When you stop craving, you start creating a sense of independence that radiates confidence, and that confidence is magnetic. You're no longer giving them power over your emotions. You're reclaiming that power for yourself. So here's your affirmation. I am whole as I am. Whenever you feel that itch to reach out, say it to yourself. Write it down. Repeat it until it's rooted in you. Because cutting off the craving isn't just about them. It's about you recognizing that you are enough, with or without their attention. This is where you take a stand, where you let them feel your absence and realize that you're no longer there at their beck and call. If they come back, it's because they've seen the strength you have. And if they don't, then they weren't worth the chase to begin with. But either way, by cutting off the craving, you've already won. You've proven to yourself that your worth isn't up for negotiation, that your life isn't defined by someone else's attention. This is where it starts. The first step to reclaiming your power, setting the tone for the life and respect you deserve. And stay with me, because what's coming next will take your strength to a whole new level. Number 2, fade out of sight. Now that you've taken the first step to cut off the craving, you're ready for the next move, fade out of sight. This step isn't just a continuation, it's the physical action that reinforces your newfound independence. By curbing that internal craving for their validation, you've taken back control of your emotions. Now, it's time to take action and let them see the space you're creating. Fading out of sight is about reducing your visible presence in their world. If you've been constantly showing up, always available, always engaged, it's time to step back and become less reachable. This isn't about being rude or playing games. It's about letting the external reflect the internal shift you've already made. It's a powerful follow-through that sends the message that you're no longer dependent on their attention. Here's where it gets real. When you pull back like this, you might feel a wave of fear. You might worry that fading out of sight will make them forget you entirely, that your absence will push them to move on or find someone else. And let's face it, that thought stings. But here's the truth. If they do forget you just because you step back, it was never meant to last anyway. And, more likely than not, your absence will make a deeper impact than your constant presence ever could. People don't miss what's always available. They notice what they cannot easily reach. This is the brilliance of fading out. You're creating a gap that they can feel. You're becoming an absence that makes them wonder, why aren't you around anymore? Why did you suddenly step back? But you can't worry about whether they'll notice or respond right away. This step isn't about getting an immediate reaction. It's about resetting the balance of attention. Trust that your absence is more powerful than your constant presence ever could be, especially as you progress through the next steps. So make sure to stay with me till the end. Think about it like this. If they truly value you, fading out won't make them forget. Instead, it will have the opposite effect. It will spark curiosity and create a sense of intrigue. By holding back, you're letting them feel what it's like without you, giving them a glimpse of the void you leave behind. And if they start to wonder, to feel your absence, it's a sign that they're realizing your impact. And if they don't, then this time of separation will only benefit you as you focus more on yourself and build a life that doesn't rely on anyone's attention to feel complete. As you fade out, you're redirecting that focus inward, putting energy into your own life, your own goals, and your own happiness. The biggest mistake people make in this stage is thinking that fading out means simply waiting in the background. That's not the case. When you fade out, You're stepping back with intention. You're building yourself up, not lying in wait for them to come to you. You're showing them, and yourself, that you're not just a convenient presence. They don't have you on demand. And remember, fading out doesn't mean disappearing entirely. You're still living your life, still focused on your own growth and happiness. But you're no longer the one reaching out, no longer the one always available, always checking in. You're reclaiming that space for yourself and becoming a mystery. Think of it like recalibrating the connection. You're putting the ball in their court, letting them be the one to wonder what you're up to. Here's a little trick for when that fear creeps in, when you worry that fading out will make them move on. Repeat this affirmation: I am unforgettable. Let that sink in. Because if they're truly interested, if they truly see your value, they won't be able to forget you just because you've stepped back. Your impact is already there, and by fading out, you're amplifying it. Trust that this space will only make them more aware of what they've lost. And here's where the next steps come into play. While fading out might feel like a risk, it's just one part of the bigger picture. Each upcoming step will reinforce this shift, making them feel your absence even more and making you stronger and more independent. Remember, this isn't about getting a quick reaction. It's about shifting the dynamic completely. So, take a deep breath, step back, and let yourself fade out of sight. This move might feel uncomfortable, but it's a powerful shift that they'll feel. You're showing them that you're more than just a reliable presence. You're someone with your own life, your own growth, your own path. And that confidence, that independence, it's magnetic. Stay with me here, because the next step will build on this even further. We're just getting started with showing them exactly what they're missing. Hit that like button if you're ready to take back your power, and subscribe if you're serious about seeing this through. Number 3, forge the inner weapon. Now that you've cut off the craving for their attention, it's time for the next step. Fade out of sight. Think of this as putting your internal shift into external action. In step 1, you conquered the urge to depend on their validation, to seek out their attention just to feel secure. Now, with fade out of sight, you're following through by physically stepping back, pulling your energy and presence away from their world. This isn't just about disappearing. It's about creating a deliberate distance that reinforces your independence. Let's be clear. Fading out isn't about playing games or disappearing to create drama. It's about allowing the space you've made in your mind to take shape in reality. When you cut off the craving, you reclaim control over your thoughts and emotions. Now, by fading out, you're showing that you're no longer putting your time, energy, or presence into someone who isn't reciprocating. You're not doing it to punish them. You're doing it to show yourself that you're capable of standing strong without their constant involvement. And yes, I know what you might be thinking. What if they forget about me completely? That's a fear that can creep up when you're taking a step back. But let's break that down. If they're genuinely interested, this distance won't erase you from their mind. It'll do the opposite. People don't forget about what's suddenly missing. When you fade out, you create a gap that makes them curious, that makes them wonder why you're no longer there. And even if they don't come running back right away, this distance is temporary. The steps we're about to cover will only increase your impact, and they'll soon realize what they're missing out on. This isn't about making them come back immediately. It's about starting a process that will, over time, make your absence impossible to ignore. That's why you need to stick with me till the end. These next steps build on each other, creating a shift in how they see you, and it all begins here, with fading out of sight. So, What does fading out look like in practice? It means you're no longer readily available. You're not the person they can casually check in with, the one who's there at the drop of a hat. You're no longer following their updates, liking their posts, or instantly responding to their messages. You're letting go of the urge to show up in their world so frequently. Instead, you're redirecting that attention inward, investing in yourself, and letting them feel the weight of your absence. Think of it like this. Every time you used to reach out, check in, or show up for them, you're now choosing to do something for yourself. Start a project you've been putting off, hit a personal goal, spend time with people who genuinely value you, and focus on building your life. When you're not constantly visible, you're creating space for them to reflect on the role you played in their life. You're giving them the chance to miss what they had. And here's a key point. Fading out doesn't mean going silent forever. It's a temporary reset, a chance for you to strengthen yourself without their influence and for them to realize what they're missing. When you're always there, they have no reason to feel your absence, no reason to wonder. But when you fade out, they start noticing that you're no longer readily available. That realization sparks curiosity and shifts the power back to you. This step isn't about being petty or ignoring them for the sake of it. It's about showing with your actions that you're no longer putting in all the effort. They'll feel this shift, and that's exactly what you want. Because when they do notice, they'll start to see you differently. You're no longer the person who's there for every little thing. You're the person who's taking back control, focusing on their own growth, and living a life that's no longer centered around them. Remember this, people are attracted to independence. When you're self-sufficient, when you're focused on your own goals and happiness, it draws people in. By fading out of sight, you're showing that you're strong on your own, that you don't need them to feel complete. And that strength, it's magnetic. It's the kind of energy people can't ignore because it shows you're comfortable with who you are, with or without them. If you find this step difficult, remind yourself of this affirmation. I am whole, and my presence is a privilege, not a given. Every time you feel the urge to reach out, to check in, or to make yourself visible, repeat this affirmation. Remember, you're not doing this for their approval. You're doing this to reinforce your own strength, to focus on building a life that's fulfilling without them. So here's your mission with Fade Out of Sight. Pull back, focus inward, and let the distance do its work. Let them feel what it's like when you're no longer constantly present. You're creating an aura of mystery, an energy that's grounded in self-assurance. And as you go through the next steps, you'll see this space start working in your favor, slowly but surely drawing them back. Stick with me, because what's coming next will amplify this distance and set the stage for a transformation they won't see coming. You're becoming someone they can't forget. Number 4, become an enigma. By now, you've cut off the craving, you've faded out of sight, and now it's time to take things to the next level. Become an enigma. This step is all about transforming yourself into someone who's not easy to figure out. Someone whose energy and presence is compelling yet elusive. When you become an enigma, you're no longer that open book they can read at a glance. Instead, you're a mystery they want to understand. Someone they can't get out of their head. So, how do you create this aura of mystery? First, keep your moves under the radar. They don't need to know every little detail about your life or what you're up to. If they reach out, don't feel the need to spill everything or explain yourself. Answer with confidence, but don't reveal too much. Leave a little to the imagination. When they ask about your life, keep it light yet intriguing. Mention that you're working on something exciting, that you're focused on personal growth, but don't go into specifics. This plants curiosity in their mind, making them wonder about what you're doing and why they're no longer in on every part of your life. The key here is to balance warmth with distance. You're not being cold or aloof, you're simply not oversharing. An enigma doesn't let people into their every thought, every move, every feeling. You're creating an air of mystery that makes them realize they don't know everything about you anymore. This shifts their perception, making them see you as someone with layers, someone they want to dig deeper into. And here's an important point: don't be predictable. Predictability kills intrigue. When they can anticipate your every response, your every action, they'll start feeling complacent again. So, change things up. If they expect you to react one way, surprise them with a new response. If they're used to you always being available, show them you've got priorities and commitments they're not part of. This keeps them guessing and makes you stand out from the ordinary. Imagine yourself as a puzzle, one that doesn't give away all its pieces at once. You're creating intrigue not just through silence, but through carefully chosen words and actions. When they start to realize they don't know every angle of who you are, that's when their curiosity turns into interest. They'll find themselves thinking about you, wondering, and maybe even regretting that they ever pulled away in the first place. Here's an affirmation to keep with you. I am captivating in my mystery. Say it until it sinks in. Remember, this isn't about playing mind games. It's about preserving your own space, your own essence, and only letting them see parts of it. By being an enigma, you're protecting your energy while drawing them in without even trying. Becoming an enigma is about showing them that you're more than meets the eye, that you're someone who doesn't need to be completely known to be valued. They'll realize that you're someone worth understanding and someone worth the effort. And trust me, that's when they'll start working to get closer, because they're no longer sure if they've figured you out. The mystery you create here, it's what makes you unforgettable. So stick with me, because up next, we're going to take this mystery even further, building a presence they can't ignore. Number 5, embrace emotional armor. By now, you've cut off the craving, faded out of sight, and even become an enigma. But here's the next essential piece: embrace emotional armor. This step is all about creating a mental and emotional shield that keeps you grounded and unshaken, regardless of how they react or what games they try to play. When you have emotional armor, you're resilient. You're no longer impacted by their mixed signals or attempts to pull you in and push you away. Think of emotional armor as a protective barrier. It doesn't mean you're numb or unfeeling. It means you don't let their actions control your emotions. You're steady, calm, and self-assured, refusing to let their behavior dictate how you feel about yourself. If they pull away, you remain strong. If they come closer, you stay in control. Your sense of self doesn't depend on their presence or attention. Here's the truth: people respect those who are emotionally steady. When they see that you're not reacting wildly to every little thing they do, it makes you stand out. You're not at their mercy, and that independence is powerful. They start to realize that they can't manipulate or sway you with inconsistency, that your happiness, your sense of worth, isn't something they can play with. Embracing emotional armor means preparing yourself for every scenario. If they don't come back, you'll be fine, because you know your value. And if they do come back, you're in a position of strength, able to approach things on your terms. This stability is incredibly attractive, as it shows that you're grounded, self-respecting, and fully capable of thriving with or without them. So here's an affirmation to carry with you. My worth is unshakable. Every time you feel that urge to react, repeat it. Every time you feel the pull to let their actions affect your mood, remind yourself of this. You're wearing emotional armor now, and that's what makes you resilient, empowered, and ultimately unforgettable. And stay with me, because the next step is going to push your confidence even further, helping you hold this strength like never before. Number 6, reverse the game in silence. By this point, you've put in the work. You've cut off the craving, faded out of sight, embraced mystery, and fortified yourself with emotional armor. Now, it's time to turn the tables entirely. Reverse the game in silence. This step is about reclaiming the power you may have given away, not by confronting them, not by demanding their attention, but by letting your silence do all the work. Silence can be more powerful than any words you could say. It speaks volumes about your confidence, independence, and self-worth. When you stay silent, you're making a statement that you're unbothered, that their actions don't define your peace or happiness. Silence is a game changer because it forces them to deal with their own actions without you filling in the blanks, without you running back to them for closure or validation. Here's why this works. People are used to getting reactions. When they distance themselves, they expect you to chase, to explain, or to show signs of weakness. By remaining silent, you're not playing their game at all. You're establishing your own rules. They don't get the reassurance that you're still there waiting, that you're still within reach. They're left with the empty space that your absence creates, and that space is powerful. Silence gives them the time and opportunity to question themselves. Without you constantly in the background, they're left with their own thoughts, their own doubts. They might start wondering if they misjudged you, if you're moving on, if you found something more important than their inconsistent presence. Your silence becomes a mirror for them to reflect on their own choices, making them realize the impact of your absence without you lifting a finger. Now, don't mistake silence for inaction. In this quiet, you're not waiting idly. You're actively living, building, and thriving in your own world. They don't need to know every detail, but they'll sense that you're growing and moving forward without them. Your silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong enough to let go of the need to explain yourself or seek validation. Here's an affirmation to guide you through this step. My silence is my strength. Every time you feel the pull to reach out, to respond, to engage, remind yourself of this. Remember that your silence is a choice, a statement of strength, not a sign of surrender. You're showing them, without a single word, that your value is independent of their attention. And don't worry about them forgetting you. This silence, combined with everything you've built so far, will speak louder than anything you could say. When they're left in the dark, they'll feel that loss more than if you were chasing them. You're not playing their game. You've changed the rules, and now they'll be the ones wondering about you. Stick with me, because our final step will cement everything you've built, ensuring that you're truly unforgettable. Hit that like button if you're ready to reclaim your power in silence, and subscribe for the ultimate finale to this transformation. Number 7, let them reach for what they can't have now. You've done the work and reversed the game in silence. The final step, let them reach for what they can't have. This is about standing firm in your worth, allowing them to feel the weight of your absence, and making it clear that you're no longer an option within their easy reach. Here's the reality. People value what they have to work for. When you make yourself scarce, when you no longer offer constant access, you elevate your value. You're no longer a given or a fallback. You've become something rare, something they have to pursue. They can't take you for granted because you're no longer making yourself readily available. They're now facing the reality that if they want you in their life, they'll have to step up, reach out, and show that they're worthy of your time. Think of it this way. You're no longer that open book they could pick up whenever they wanted. You've closed that chapter, and if they want another chance, they'll have to earn it. This isn't about being petty or playing hard to get. It's about standing tall in the worth you've rediscovered through each step of this journey. You've built a life, a confidence and a sense of purpose that doesn't rely on their presence. Now, they're the ones who need to prove that they deserve a place in it. Letting them reach for what they can't have also means staying committed to the boundaries you've set. If they do try to come back, don't immediately open the door. You've established standards for how you deserve to be treated, and they should know that anything less won't be enough. This isn't a test. It's a demonstration of the self-respect you've built. You're no longer available at their whim. You're someone they have to meet at your level. It's natural to worry that letting them reach might mean losing them. But here's the truth. If they truly value you, they'll rise to the occasion. And if they don't, then they were never willing to give you the respect and effort you deserve. Either way, you win. You're no longer wasting energy on someone who isn't ready to meet your worth. You're giving yourself the freedom to attract people who genuinely value and respect you. Here's an affirmation to hold close during this final step. I am worth the effort. Say it whenever you feel the urge to lower your standards or give in. Let it remind you that you deserve to be pursued, not taken for granted. You're worth more than being someone's backup plan. You're worth someone's best effort, attention, and respect. So let them reach. Let them feel the gap your absence creates. Let them understand that being close to you is a privilege, not a given. When they realize they can't have you as easily as they once did, they'll start to understand your true value. You've done it. You've followed each step, built your strength, and reclaimed your worth. Now, you're no longer chasing or craving. You're standing tall, knowing exactly who you are. Letting them reach for what they can't have isn't about games. It's about valuing yourself above fleeting attention. If they come back, it's on your terms. If they don't, you're already thriving. Remember, your power is in your independence, your confidence, and your ability to move forward unshaken. Hit that like button if you're ready to keep building this strength, and subscribe for more on becoming the best version of you.